Before I say anything else, I need you to stop what you are doing and really listen to this. Because if you clicked on this video, part of you already knows something is wrong. Part of you is sitting with a feeling you cannot name, a quiet voice in the back of your mind that has been whispering for weeks, maybe months, maybe years, that something between you and the person you love has fundamentally changed. You are not here by accident. And what I am about to share with you is not my opinion. It is not relationship advice from someone who has never studied this. What I am about to share comes from Dr. John Gottman, a psychologist who spent over 40 years studying thousands of couples in a real laboratory, watching them interact, measuring their heart rates, their facial expressions, their exact words, and then following up years later to see who stayed together and who fell apart. His ability to predict divorce reached 93.6% accuracy. Not guessing, not feeling, science. And what he found were 4 specific patterns, 4 signs that when present in a relationship signal that it is already breaking down at a level most people cannot see until it is too late. By the end of this video, you will know all 4. You will recognize them, and whether you find one or all 4 in your relationship, you will know exactly where you stand and exactly what to do next. Stay with me. Before we get into the 4 signs, I need to give you the foundation that makes all of this make sense. Gottman calls it the sound relationship house. The idea is simple. Every relationship is like a structure, and like any structure, it needs a strong foundation to stand. Without it, even the most beautiful relationship will eventually crack, not because of one big dramatic event, but because of small, invisible erosions happening every single day. Most couples do not break up because of one catastrophic fight. They break up because of 1,000 tiny moments of disconnection that were never repaired. A look that was never softened, an apology that never came, a need that was expressed and ignored, a moment of reaching out that was met with silence. These small moments stack up, and over time, they create what Gottman calls emotional distance, a gap between 2 people that grows so wide that by the time they realize it, crossing back feels impossible. The 4 signs are not causes of that distance. They are symptoms of it. They are the visible signs that the erosion has already been happening beneath the surface for a long time. Here is the first one. Sign number 1, criticism. And I need you to understand the difference between a complaint and criticism, because most people confuse them, and that confusion costs them everything. A complaint is specific. A complaint addresses one behavior in one moment. It says something happened that I did not like, and here is what it was. Criticism is different. Criticism attacks the person. It takes one behavior and turns it into a statement about who someone fundamentally is. Here's the difference. Complaint. You forgot to call me when you said you would, and that made me feel like I was not a priority. Criticism. You never think about anyone but yourself. You're so selfish. You always do this. You see the difference? One is about the moment, one is about the person. The words never and always are the fingerprints of criticism. The moment those words appear in a conflict, you have stopped talking about what happened and started attacking who someone is. And here's why this matters psychologically. When a person feels attacked at the level of their identity, not their behavior, but who they are, the brain immediately goes into self-protection mode. The conversation is no longer about solving a problem, it becomes about surviving a threat. And you cannot build intimacy with someone whose words make you feel like you need to protect yourself.
If criticism is happening regularly in your relationship, if either of you routinely takes specific problems and turns them into character attacks, the foundation is being chipped away every single time. But criticism alone is not the most dangerous sign. It is what criticism leads to that really tells the story. Sign number 2, contempt. Gottman calls contempt the single greatest predictor of relationship failure. Not conflict, not distance, not even cheating. Contempt. And contempt is what happens when criticism has been present long enough that it turns into something deeper and darker. It is the feeling that you are not just frustrated with your partner, you are superior to them. You have lost respect for them, and that loss of respect begins to leak out in ways that are sometimes subtle and sometimes devastating. Contempt looks like eye-rolling, sneering, mocking, sarcasm used as a weapon, speaking to your partner in a tone you would never use with a stranger, dismissing their feelings as stupid or dramatic, treating their opinions as not worth engaging with. It looks like making them feel small, regularly, sometimes without even realizing you were doing it. Here is why contempt is so uniquely destructive. Every other relationship problem can be worked through if both people still fundamentally respect each other. Respect is the floor. It is the minimum requirement for any repair to be possible. Contempt removes the floor. When one person in a relationship has begun to feel contempt for the other, when they have moved from "I am angry at you" to "I look down on you," they have stopped seeing their partner as an equal. They have stopped seeing them as someone worth the effort of repair. And Gottman found something even more alarming. Couples in relationships with high levels of contempt showed higher rates of illness. The chronic stress of being looked down on by the person who is supposed to love you most does not just damage the relationship, it damages the body. If you feel contempt for your partner, or you feel it coming from them, this is not a communication problem. This is a respect problem. And without respect, nothing else can be fixed. Sign number 3. Defensiveness. Think about the last time you tried to bring up a problem in your relationship. A real one, something that was genuinely bothering you. What happened? If your partner immediately shot back with a reason why it was actually your fault, if every concern you raised was met with a counter-complaint, if taking any responsibility felt completely impossible for them, you were experiencing defensiveness. And defensiveness is so common, so human, so understandable that most people do not even recognize it as a relationship problem. It feels like self-protection. It feels reasonable. Of course you defend yourself when you feel attacked. But here's what defensiveness actually communicates to your partner. Your feelings are not valid. Your concerns are not real. I'm not going to hear you because hearing you would mean admitting something I'm not willing to admit. Every time defensiveness shuts down a conversation, every time a genuine attempt at connection gets turned into an argument about who is more wrong, the person who tried to reach out learns a devastating lesson. It is not safe to need things here. And when a person learns that lesson enough times, they stop reaching out. They stop bringing things up. They stop trying to be heard. And from the outside, the relationship can look peaceful. The arguments stop, the tension fades. But that is not peace. That is resignation. That is a person who has decided that trying is not worth it anymore. Defensiveness does not just block conflict resolution, it blocks intimacy. Because intimacy requires the ability to say, "This hurt me," and have that received. When it cannot be received, the walls go up and they rarely come back down on their own. Sign number 4, stonewalling. This is the last one, and it is the one that most often signals that a relationship has crossed a line that is very hard to come back from. Stonewalling is when one person shuts down completely during conflict. They go silent, they leave the room, they check out emotionally. They give one-word answers or no answers at all. They make it physically and emotionally impossible to have a conversation. From the outside, it can look like the stonewaller does not care, like they are being cold and cruel on purpose, like they are punishing their partner with silence. But here is what the psychology actually shows. Stonewalling almost always happens because the person is completely overwhelmed. Gottman's research found that during stonewalling, heart rates typically exceed 100 beats per minute. The body is in full physiological flooding, the same state as a physical emergency. The rational brain has gone offline. The nervous system is screaming danger. And so, the person shuts down. Not to be cruel, but because their system cannot handle any more input. The problem is that to the person on the other side, the one trying to connect, trying to resolve, trying to reach across the gap, stonewalling feels like abandonment. It feels like I do not matter enough to even be spoken to. It triggers their deepest fears about being left, being invisible, being unloved. And so, they push harder, and the stonewaller shuts down more, and the cycle becomes self-reinforcing until both people are exhausted and the relationship feels like a place where neither of them can breathe. When stonewalling becomes the default response to conflict, when the pattern is reach, shut down, over and over again, the emotional bank account of the relationship runs empty, and empty accounts do not sustain love. Now here is what I need you to understand. Finding one of these signs in your relationship does not mean it is over. Finding all four does not automatically mean it is over. Gottman himself was clear about this. The difference between couples who made it and couples who did not was not the absence of these patterns, it was whether they recognized them and chose to repair them. Repair is everything. A repair attempt is any effort, however small, however clumsy, to stop the negative cycle and reconnect. It's reaching for your partner's hand in the middle of an argument. It's saying, "I'm getting overwhelmed. Can we take a break and come back to this?" It's sending a text 2 hours after a fight that says, "I love you and I want us to figure this out." Gottman found that in healthy relationships, repair attempts are made and received even when they are imperfect, even when both people are still upset. The willingness to try and the willingness to accept the attempt is what keeps the foundation from cracking. The couples who failed were not the ones who fought. They were the ones who stopped trying to repair. So here is the question only you can answer. Are you still trying? And is the person across from you still trying? Because if the answer is yes, even a tired, uncertain, scared yes, there is still something worth fighting for. There are therapists trained specifically in Gottman method who can help you rebuild what has been eroded. There are tools, techniques, and real evidence-based approaches that have saved relationships that looked completely beyond saving. But if you're honest with yourself and the answer is no, if the trying stopped a long time ago and you both know it, then maybe the most loving, most courageous thing you can do is acknowledge what the science is showing you. Not every relationship is meant to last forever. Some are meant to teach you what you need, show you what you're made of, and then end, so that both people can find something truer. Ending is not failure. Staying in something broken beyond repair, that's the real cost. If this video helped you see your relationship more clearly, share it with someone who needs that clarity. Because most people are suffering in silence, wondering if what they're feeling is real, wondering if they are overreacting, wondering if things will ever get better. Now you know the science. Now you can see clearly. Like this video if it gave you something. Subscribe because there's so much more of this to come. And leave a comment below. Tell me which of the 4 signs hit closest to home. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next video. And whatever you decide about your relationship, about your future, about what you deserve, make sure it's a decision made from clarity. Not fear, not habit, not loneliness. Clarity. You deserve that much.